This is Skyler Saunders seeing what's current. Talking about the government shutdown. How many people does it affect? How many people are going to be? Some people are going to have money paid in retroactively if they have a certain uh, position within the government. Um, Different people in like traffic control, air traffic controllers, and law officers, things of that nature. But the thing is with me, there should be a government shut out. They should be shutting out various uh, government agencies, or they should shut off. Maybe not shut out. Maybe shut off, cut off. Yeah, that's it. Shut off, not shut out. Shut off various government agencies. We don't need the FDA. We don't need the DEA. We don't need the SEC. We don't need the FCC. We don't need the FTC, and a whole bunch of alphabet soup government organizations. And that's the reason why I was talking about the other day about what was pissing me off about the antitrust laws. How they're going after the most successful, the ablest, the most uh, rightfully so. I mean, say powerful, not just like evil and vicious powerful or something like that. Don't get that construed. But I'm saying that the government ought to shut off these different entities, and then we would have a better way. And combine that with by stopping spending. We have to stop spending so much money that we don't have. We're spending money like a crackhead trying to, get enough for a rock. We're spending money like all over the place. It's disgusting. And I'm not against shutdowns. I'm for shut offs. Shut off these various alphabet soup agencies that have nothing to do with protecting individual rights. They're actually the opposite. They trample individual rights. That's what's so terrible and dramatic and disgusting. What with Speaker McCarthy is going back and forth. Oh, well, we'll see, and we'll see what happens and everything like that. He's mealy mouthed, and he's talking his way, and it's worse when you have somebody like Joe Biden who's has nothing to do really with the shutdown and can't do anything. It's another reason why presidents aren't the most powerful, really, in a sense, because they can't block judicial rulings. They can't block congressional ideals, as far as I know. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But from what I know, President Biden can't do anything in relation to the government shutdown, which I think is a good thing for this particular matter, because you're able to shut down for briefly a moment all the names that I just said: EPA, FTC, FCC, all those, and that's a clear indication of why. I guess this is the reason why you have people like Menendez, hiding gold bars and hundreds of thousands of dollars in a Mercedes Benz. He's got all that hidden. Of course, he's on the take on something. Obviously, allegedly, he's on the take on something. Allegedly. But that's the reason why they're trying to get their money. That's why you have congressmen, you have senators and representatives with so much money. They have millions of dollars. They make millions of dollars off of something that they get paid maybe few $100,000 for. How is that? Somebody please help me with the math there. I'm not that good at math. I'm not great. I'm not very astute at the mathematical stylings. So please let me know how a politician can gross or net millions of dollars, and they only get paid a few $100,000 or less than that, maybe $90,000 or $80,000 a year. They have side gigs, they have side hustles, they have different manipulation of the stock market. They control what happens with the stock market, so they know exactly when something's going to happen. I mean, that should be possible for private citizens, but definitely not government citizens. There should be insider trading, but not with government involved. And I have to take a break here and ask, who is in the room right now? Somebody's in the room. I have one viewer. Let me know who you are by saying something in the chat. There's my Cash App, $ Skyler Saunders 1. Let that be known. Share that. Pass that around. That's a blunt. I never smoked a blunt. I never will smoke with another man on a blunt. No thanks. I'm cool. You can miss me with that. But I digress. It's a funny thing. This shutdown, as it looms larger, it seems like it's getting more imminent as we progress. As we keep going, it seems like it's getting larger and larger and larger as we head into the week. We're on the weekend right now, but the weekend's coming up, and they're looking at for tomorrow as the I don't know if it's the deadline, but it's a date that that is is very important towards the shutdown. Now, like I said, what do we need an EPA for? Are you kidding me? An Environmental Protection Agency started in the 1970s. I think it was actually 1970. And I could be wrong, but it's disgusting. There's no reason why government should have anything to do with quote unquote environment, first of all, because the human environment is thriving despite government intervention and intrusion. So why would you need the EPA to even be in existence at all? I mean, you look on the TV show, they show the national parks and people, women not getting assistance, and the Head Start program not making it harder for our parents. But that's because these programs should be eliminated in the first place. They shouldn't even exist. There's something that should be completely done away with. There's nothing to be celebrated or cheered on. They're vicious and ugly and disgusting. And that's what we get. We get these from our politicians, and they're all in their great glory and infinite wisdom. We have to take them at their word. All these people, I mean, and that's another thing too, is as long as there is altruism, there will always be a welfare state. Now, I say this cautiously because Ayn Rand said this as well in the question of scholarships, with different ideas such as WIC, EBT, food stamps, scholarships, all these things that the government may provide. Take them while you can, because they should be gone, and they should be leveled out. They should be taken out of a commission gradually. It should be eliminated gradually. They shouldn't just pop up one day and say, "Oh, your welfare check isn't coming today. You're never going to get one ever again. Bye." Boom. No, it's like, okay, you should be able to get your work together. We're going to give you these programs based on what we have with private organizations, not the government, but with private organizations. We're going to wean you off the government teat and set you on a path of understanding. Now, I say it for myself as well. I'm a United States Marine Corps veteran. Been out of the service for 14 years. Haven't missed a check since. Haven't missed one deposit since then. And I've gained more money every year since 2009 when I retired. So it's a game where they're trying to play people for saying that their military service isn't going to garner them enough ideas for anything serious. Whatever. So they're looking at they said that military and law enforcement won't be touched, but I think they're going to retroactive pay. It depends on where you get your information, but It seems that way. It seems that the government officials should just shut off at the same time that they're shutting down. Shut off all these FCC. What do we need FCC for? Please tell me why. People are gonna, the 7 words you can't say on radio or TV all day. There will be if there's no FCC world and in a non FCC world, there will be nudity on TV on your on network television, not just the streaming platforms, but on network television. It'll be rampant. There'll be foul language, quote unquote, blue language, toilet language, toilet humor, whatever it's saying, suggestive language, and that will all come into the fore. That will all come into reality. That will become, a recognition. But the public will choose to say, "Hey, I don't want this to see this on this channel at this time. I'm not watching it." And when they find out that they got all the cusses and curses and all the words that you can't say, or the nudity or the ultra violence that is involved in movies and TV for R and NC-17, they'll figure it out because they don't want to lose viewers. They don't want to lose money. So I think we'll have a fair chance at being able to control ourselves and be able to understand better our role as human beings and as adults, shielding our children from different programs that we don't want them to see. So what do you, Lena Khan? This vicious broad. Oh my God! Like I said before, so many other times, don't be successful. Don't be big, quote unquote. Don't be able. Don't be grand. Don't be great. Be meek, mild, modest, and humble. That's what you got to be for the government. Oh, look at them. They're so cute. The small business. Oh, look at that. Isn't that cute? That's wonderful. Big business. Oh my God. It's too much. They have to be running a monopoly. Has to be a monopoly. And what is a monopoly but government intrusion? You can't have a monopoly unless you have intrusion. And you can't do anything. You can't price too high, you can't price too low, and you can't price in the middle. All those are various, detractions against your business and what you do. That's what's so depressing and disgusting. So, EPA, FTC, STC, out of here. And I'm just going to name a few. There's so many more. National parks. Why do we need national parks? We need private parks. There shouldn't be national parks. There shouldn't be any government-run or government-led parks. It should all be sold off to government entities. Education, was it the National Endowment for Education and what is it? Anything regarding the government, federal government especially for education, should be shut off, completely shut off, completely taken out, eliminated. Should be privatized all the way. I will fight for that. I will fight for private schools. I'll fight for every school to be private. Whatever I can do. If I had billions of dollars, I would definitely, make it possible for private schools to flourish, for government schools to sell off the private schools, the government schools, and have them privatized fully, without any qualms, without any doubts. And I'm a thinking nigga. I think that the fact that so many people are, it's brain sullied. I don't like brainwashed because you don't have a dirty mind anymore. If your brain washed, your brain sullied, your brain dirty. People are brain filthy brains, because they think, oh well, somebody's got to provide for the children. It's got to be the state. It's got to be the government. It's got to be whatever. Blank out. It's a shame. because we've been almost, attuned to it. Oh, it's got to be some government schools. It's got to be government schools. So, or people say public schools, but they're really government schools. You got to have a government school in order for them to flourish. Private schools are too expensive. Oh my God, I can't believe it. James Tooley, look up that name. The Beautiful Tree. He wrote that book, The Beautiful Tree. He came out with that and said, I'm going to Africa, I'm going to India, I'm going to parts of China, I think he was. And he found out that people were getting, little children were getting education for what, $30 a month, something like that. And the same could be true for America. If you're running around with Gucci slides and you got an iPhone and you're riding around with a Honda Civic with rims on it, and you're collecting welfare checks and stuff like that, you can afford, trust me, you can afford to go to a school for $5,000 a month, $6,000, even $1,200 a month, depending on whatever the school is. Or depending on the arrangement, the school could be perfectly quote unquote free. And I'm not just talking about ads. I'm not talking about just ads. I'm talking about completely free. Like there's the site vocal.media where I write my articles. They are perfectly free. There's no ads whatsoever. They have sponsorships, but they don't have ads. They have sponsorships for their challenges, but they don't have ads on the articles. And that's because it's tied to the stock market. It gets its money from the stocks. That's the beauty of it. So if Apple could do that, just think about that. Just think about Apple private schools popping up all over the country, or Starbucks schools popping up all over the country like they do. You go the one part of the mall is a Starbucks. You go to another part, there's another Starbucks. Just understand that. Just have that. Let that be. That's the thing with the education. As long as it's federal, and there's state and city as well. Have it privatized. It doesn't fit the 3 criteria. Anything that doesn't fit the 3 criteria, military, police force, judiciary, should be eliminated outright. So if you're going to do a shutdown, prepare to do a shut off. The DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, which has destroyed millions of lives, thousands have been incarcerated, and hundreds of thousands have been killed, probably. It's disgusting. All because of some bullshit idea of government having control over people's lives. That's basically how it breaks down. They have control over someone's choices to destroy their own brain and body, all on their own in the comfort of their private dwelling or place, and the government disallows that. I don't care how bad fentanyl is. Sure, it's evil. It's not evil, but it's horrific. It's not something you want to do. But hey, if you want to do it, you should have every right to do it. What is the government's role in saying that you can't do that drug? You can't snort this. You can't smoke that. You can't inject this. You can't eat that. And everybody's so enamored. And all the jokes are for, most of the jokes are for marijuana. Oh yeah, we can get a car, we can get a medical card, we can go to a dispensary. Why can't I go to a dispensary for cocaine? What's the difference? It's a different substance, different chemical compound. But what's the difference in principle? It's still a drug that affects my brain and my body. Why can't I get an X pill, not a Twitter pill? Huh. Why can't I be feeling myself with the X pill? Why can't I do that? What's wrong? I have to take a quick break. Add Spirit Smooth Tunes on YouTube. Quiet Storm, Anita Baker, Sade, bands, Earth, Wind and Fire, Daz, you know, smooth jazz. I want to go out on a limb and say he has Nigel. I'm sure of that. I'm sure I'm not sure. But that's the kind of music that Spirit McCrory has on his channel. He has a wide array of R&B and soul and jazz cuts, and it's just a great sound and sight. Just a great sounding channel. So make sure you check them out. Spirit Smooth Tunes on YouTube. Okay. So, as I was saying, it's like the DEA is one of the most vicious ideas ever to be concocted by the government. It only hurts. It only hurts. It doesn't help anyone. It destroys lives completely. Either sending people away for drug possession, intent to sell, which would be someone sold to someone who wants it, who is desiring it and has the money to pay for it. I'm not talking about fraud. I'm not talking about gold medal flour for cocaine. That's fraud. I'm talking about actual fish scale, real coke. I read a few months ago that they've gotten, that coke has gotten stronger. Ironically, usually it ebbs. The quality of it disintegrates. It degrades. But I read just a few months ago that the quality of cocaine has increased, and it's so cute. It is cute when they have, oh well, they seized over 100 tons of cocaine or whatever. I don't know if it's 100 tons, but maybe 5 or 6 or 10 tons of cocaine washed up on the shores of Miami, and we found all this. It doesn't matter. If you want to get cocaine, you can get cocaine. You can get methamphetamine. You can get somewhat legal, but can be abused, opioids. And they're going after the doctors. The doctors, the ones that want to help mitigate pain, go by the Hippocratic Oath, not to cause pain. And they're going at them for supplying it to them. And that's their business. If they want to die, let them die. It shouldn't be that way. They should want to have life. They should want to live. But if that's their choice, that's their choice. Somebody just gave me a like in the chat room. Who is it? Somebody in here? Now nobody's in here, apparently, allegedly. I'm just going on the government shutdown, quote unquote. It needs to be a shut off. And then we have, of course, the FDA, Food and Drug Administration. This is probably the most vicious, evil, disgusting organizations ever devised, right up there with DEA, FTC, FCC. And I'm missing a whole lot of alphabet boys and girls. Oh, boy, it's Greg S. I thought I was going to get paid today. Yeah, don't say it just because I said it. Just say it because you think that. And also, Greg asks, let other people know about the show. At least 2 people, and leave the third person wondering. But yeah, the FDA not only restricts people from getting certain drugs, they don't even allow it to even come into the market. Some drugs are completely dismissed before they even get fully tested or fully known to the public by private means. That's disturbing. That is ugly and wrong. That is something that should be shown to be as killers. That's murderous. I would say that's murderous. They should be thrown in jail. and then get the death penalty or something serious happened to them. Because that makes no sense. That makes zero sense. Zero. They don't have any clue as to whether to save a life or to harm it. FDA is just saying that, oh, this is a revolutionary pill that could help stave off Alzheimer's or cancer or Parkinson's or some treatment or some medicine or drug. Food and Drug. It's not Food and Medicine Administration, by the way. Food and Drug. Um, so if there was some kind of drug that could stave off or eliminate the threat of cancer, they would have to say, oh, well, it hasn't gone through trials yet. It hasn't gone through this amount of effort of overseeing it, and there needs to be oversight. That is so backwards, so vicious. Dr. Harry Bingswanger called it the for death administration. I think he called it. That's what he called it. FDA. That's what it is. It's about death. It's not about life. And we continue to go on with it. That's the saddest part. We go on with it. We say, oh, well, FDA is going to help people. Was it approved by the FDA? Was it approved by the FDA? Do they have any approval on it? Does that make it a legitimate drug? Is that possible? To have them say, oh, well, you can take this drug, but you can't take that one. No. Just like with the DEA. And that's the thing, we do anything. A war on everything. There's a war on cancer. There's a war on drugs. There's a war on poverty. And speaking of poverty, like I said, it goes back to this question of scholarships. Question of scholarships. Whether you have, like I have a deposit from the government, the federal government, because I have a mental disorder. I'm bipolar. So, bipolar 1 to be exact. So I have to always realize the fact that that's the part of the question of scholarships. As long as the government is like this, I'll be so fast and quick and in a hurry to eliminate my deposits, Social Security as well. And Social Security we'll get to. That's a special thing. But Social Security definitely needs to be shut off. Definitely needs to be taken out. Greg S is definitely trolling. He's trolling very hard right now. He's the only one in the room. There's nobody else. Apparently, and allegedly, according to YouTube's viewership, I see a 0. So, Social Security. This was a special moment for me. I looked at my check when I was in Burlington Coat Factory for 2006, and I was like, I was like, I see that movie. Don't tell mom the babysitter's dead. And she looked at her check and she saw how many deductions, how many taxes, how many things were taken out of it, and it wasn't a full check. And I was like, yep, it's gonna happen to me. And then when it hit me though, I was like, damn, this really hurts. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is amazing. This takes so much out of you. You put in all this work for the week, and you think you're gonna get it. Greg S continues to troll. I'm gonna let him troll, but I won't answer any of his questions. Never answer any question. Maybe I might answer one question and have that be a bingo space. But beyond that, I'm not going to answer any of his questions because he's just trolling. He instead of finding 2 or 3 other people and say, hey, you gotta watch this show, and bring it up on your laptop or your smart device. No, he is supposed to troll apparently. So that just tells you the kind of man or person Greg S is. Hey, honey. But The Social Security. Social Security takes out of your check, the payroll check, all the city and state taxes that you have to pay later on in April. It's just really like, how do we even put up with it? How do we even put up with all this? They say you can't fight City Hall, but we got to fight something. We got to stand up for something, and not just for global warming or something. There's been global warming since 4.5 billion years ago. That's how long global warming has been happening. The polar shifts, the ice melting, and hurricanes and tornadoes and all kinds of atmospheric phenomena. All that has happened already. And the Earth has been a lot hotter. A lot hotter. And it's been a lot colder. We've gone through ice ages. So it's cute when people say, oh, you gotta, recycle, or put that plastic in the bin to help for the global warming. Like, it has anything, one thing has to do with the other. And it's just a fear and a hatred of fossil fuels, which literally power our lives. Everything that we wear, everything that we see, everything that we use in society is based off of oils and substances made by or produced by fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas. And of course, even though it's not a fossil fuel, nuclear power also and helps out with the idea of creating power for people. So that kind of goes in, with the Social Security thing. That goes in with the EPA thing as well. Because Social Security, most of the people think that I've been able to save up. I wouldn't have been able to do this. I wouldn't have been able to do that. That's not the point. The point is the fact that you're taking the money from other people and putting it in your pocket, and you're saying that, oh, I'm selfless, I'm unselfish, I'm altruistic. When you're really not even selfish, you're just irrational. That's the truth. I have two people in the room. One is Greg S. The other person is Whom. Whom, may I ask, is in the chat room or the live chat, the live broadcast right now. Show your face, or at least your handle. But it just reminds me of the same thing. All of them together just are evil. And the damn fossil fuels, and to have government legislation go against pipelines and different fracking operations and things like that. That is just disgusting. That is wrong and disturbing. We should have no role for the government to do these things. The government should play no role in doing them. That should be a fact. That should be the truth and the reality of it. We have to have an idea of how we can understand ourselves better through private means other than law courts, military, and police force. And that's what we should do. And we're almost like we're brain sullied, I guess you can say. We're brain dirtied in order to say how many people can or would vote. Would vote. The polls. The polls of people, trying to say how people are one way and they're actually another. That's the difference. That's what makes all the difference. Is the fact that we don't have a proper state to begin with. The state has been, everybody looks at, oh, we're so many dollars in debt. Look at the debt ceiling. Look at the decline in production. Look at the decline in healthcare. And that's another thing. Healthcare should be private, should be up to the doctors and the medical staff and the nurses and everyone like that, the executives, the executive directors, all of them, they should be the ones that have the final say in someone's life and their well-being, not the government. Ego, edge government out, and that has to go with ego, edge God out, because you edge God out on all of this. That's probably the reason why most people are tied to this, because of the Christian ideology, because of the Christian thought, because of Christian values of altruism and selflessness and unselfishness. Greg says I'm bugging. You damn right I'm bugging. You goddamn right I'm bugging. I'm bugging you. I'm trying to get you to be riled up and to understand that this country is getting eaten away at because of altruism. The doctrine that says that you don't matter, you don't exist, in a sense. You don't have a say. Other people do. Other people have the right to say something, but you don't as an individual. That's what altruism stands for. That's what it means. You don't have the power to say what is. If this country, okay, now you're trolling, because I don't even think you believe in God, because he's saying this country needs more God without the E on more. If we needed more God, then you have to show me a God, present me a God, give me the evidence and proof for a God. Give me that. Don't just say there needs to be a God. Show me a God. Give me his attributes. Give me his specifics or her specifics. What if it was a woman? How can you tell? How can you? What is the proof that you have? You don't have it, and so that's the reason why we have so many people engaged in improper roles in the government. It starts out with Christianity, especially, even though this isn't a Christian nation, has never been founded upon Christianity, according to Article 11 of the Treaty of Tripoli, signed by the president at the time. Let me make sure. Always confuses. I'll look for it. Make sure. John Adams. John Adams signed that into law. The Treaty of Tripoli, Article 11. And I'll say, as it states, quote, as the government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion, as it has in itself no character of enmity against the laws, religious or tranquil, as it has in itself no character of enmity against the laws, religious or tranquility of Muslims, or what they call Muslims. Quote, and as the said states never have entered in any war or act of hostility. And this is way back, so we had different acts of hostility in Muslim countries. But this goes back. In 1796, but it still stands. Okay, Greg asks, prove to me, God is all around. Where is he? Where is she? Where are they? Help me out. Let me know where God is. You got to help me out. Let me know. Like I said, the alphabet soup is disgusting. So disgusting. All because of altruism. As long as there's altruism, we will have the welfare state. We will have FDA, DEA, FTC, FCC, and a whole bunch of other organizations that don't need to be around. National parks. They're talking about, oh no, I'm not going to get my deposit because I work for the national park. Well, why'd you work for the national park? Like, it's disgusting. It really is. It's a disturbing way that we have to look at things. They keep talking about the shutdown, government shutdown. Nobody talks about the shut off. Nobody says what organizations have to be doing. The hell you have against national parks That was your free space. I have against national parks the fact that the government runs them. They should be privatized. They should be all sold off to private organizations and parties. That's what I have against the national parks. Because it serves no role for the government. The government is supposed to do what? Anyone? I know. Protect individual rights. How is the government protecting individual rights with national parks? Or the alphabet soup that I just gave to you? How are they protecting anyone's individual rights? Yeah, I'm not smoking boulders. I want you to know that you're completely uh, under the spell of altruism and mysticism and collectivism, or in order, mysticism, collectivism, and altruism. You're completely, bereft of all understanding of how government ought to work, how it ought to function. And like I said, I will be fighting for, two things, two of the biggest things in the in the world, of course, but in the United States especially, health and education. I would fight for the elimination of government and health and education. Privatize the whole ideas. Well, look it up, Greg S. You got a computer system, I'm sure. You got some kind of fancy device. You got a Samsung. You got an iPhone. You got a laptop or a MacBook or something. Look it up. Look up what altruism means. I just told you what it means. Altruism is basically putting others before self, and not even putting others before self, but degrading and denigrating yourself so that others can, succeed. And not even succeed. It's weird. That's how weird altruism is. Just so they can live long enough so you can say that you were altruistic and selfless. That's like Mother Teresa. She was not in the business of helping other people get better and feel successful. She was in the business of keeping people just healthy enough to be poor and raggedy and raw and nasty and groveling, just enough, not to make them better, not to improve their health or their understanding of life, but to continue on with their path. And the best way to say this was Ayn Rand. She asked the question, why? Why should you give up your values for another? Why should that other person go beyond what you have or what you do? Why? And there's no answer. No one can answer why. There's no reason why anyone should continue with their life based on someone being selfless and unselfish. There is no reason. Not one reason why. That's how disgusting this all is. That's how disturbing it is. And we put up with it. We put up with it. Can't fight City Hall. Meaning, you can't fight the state. You can't fight the federal government. Just do as you're told. Pay your taxes. All that. And I'm not saying don't pay your taxes. We're not at the stage of, completely eliminating tax reform or taxation yet. We should be able to understand that. We should be able to take that into account. We should be able to take into the idea of providing ourselves with enough armor to go through all the different challenges that that beset us. They're all around us. It is, in my estimation, that we're going to have more people, an influx of people, especially, in the evangelical crowds, that will champion all these different ideas. Another thing, abortion. I'm going off the rails on this, but there, whatever agencies and the government that part, especially the judiciary system, they were completely wrong on abortion, but they were right on affirmative action. And that's another example of how the president doesn't really have that much power, because he couldn't overturn any of those things that he wanted to have. They have the power. We have to have the voting power, and we have to have proper candidates that can uphold the idea of being in power, and not to be powerful, but having the power to affect change that will improve individual rights, that will protect individual rights. That's the sole role of government, to the protection of individual rights. And I have to say individual rights, because people will say, if you just say rights, you say, oh, we have rights on that. But the idea is individual rights. People say civil rights, human rights, all that, but not individual rights. And it's a redundancy, really. It really is a redundancy, because if you're an individual, you have rights, or you should have rights, that could be protected once you're born to this earth. And especially if you're a United States citizen like myself, you should be able to do that. You should be able to say that I am a sovereign human being of my own accord, and I have the ability to do what I can do on my own power, in my own way, without trampling on the rights of others. That's what an adult would say. That's what a proper discussion of what it means to say what you are and who you are. That's the way of using it. That's the way of using this particular document. That's what's so important. That's what makes things so believable in the eyes of all those that don't understand people. That was what we were supposed to do. That's what we were supposed to start out with as Americans. I'm speaking for the American public right now. I know this is broadcast all over the world. I know my numbers in UK and Canada and New Zealand. And I appreciate everybody that reaches out. But for all the people that don't know what's going on in America, the shutdown debacle and quagmire is not even a thing. We've had the shutdown before. There have been shutdowns before that. There are acts in place that will disallow people from performing their duties, even in volitional roles. That's how twisted this government system really is. If you just ask a random person on the street, just to say, okay, is it rational to have drug laws against people, whether it's the FDA or the DEA? They'll probably say, well, we need the DEA to crack down on people that use fentanyl and blah, 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 blah. Well, we need the DEA, the FDA to evaluate different drugs and say blah, 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 blah. That's a fallacy. That's a complete fallacy, because there should be a different way of saying what we truly want. What I truly want is a government completely removed from anything besides protecting individual rights. That should be it. There should be one box to check when you go down the list of the alphabet soups agencies. Do you protect individual rights? No, shut off. You protecting your own rights. Yes. Keep doing what you're doing. Good job. And don't mess it up. That's the issue at hand. That's what we have to face. That's the problem that we all have. That's what's so engrossing to me and fascinating to me. How we just let it happen. Why aren't we fighting? Why are we not fighting for these rights? We go in the market in the streets. Woo, yeah. He had his knee on his neck. Oh, BLM, Black Lives Matter, all this nonsense. That was true. That was real. I didn't mean the George Floyd neck on his knee on his neck was nonsense. I'm saying the way we march in the streets, and which is improper for, I learned from an Ayn Rand perspective or objectivist perspective. It wouldn't even, first of all, we wouldn't have the numbers. There's maybe, I'll say 10,000, and maybe less, maybe 3,000 objectivists, full-blown objectivists, not just students of objectivism, but like complete and utter objectivists. That's what we have. That's what we have in the United States. And around the world, maybe 15,000, 20,000, maybe objectivists, like strong objectivists. Like maybe I don't know how to calculate it. I'll probably mess with the numbers anyway. But no, it's too goofy. Way too goofy. We have the noblest nation of all time. The GOAT. America is the GOAT. Greatest of all time. Because of what? Because of founding principles. Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. To begin with. Declaration of Independence. The most important, most potent document, political document of all time. Ever. Nobody ever conceived of those ideas like that. Never. Everything else and anywhere else had tribes, it had kingdoms, it had monarchies, it had despots, it had dictatorships. All of that was silenced in 1776 on July 4th. Now, of course, we were perfect. That's why we have a more perfect union idea going on. I think Lincoln championed that the most. We have a situation where we have so many people being able to take on the fact that the government of the United States is, backwards and corrupt. And it is. It's very backward and corrupt. But it's the only government we really have that's, suitable for individual rights, for those values that I said about the Declaration. As long as the government does its proper role, it does pretty well. The sad part is it doesn't do it enough because there's so many other crowded bullshit organizations. So many others that take into account the fact that the government is supposed to be a handout. It's supposed to hand out like Jesus said, handed out the fish and the bread and served 5,000 people. He can make lunch. It's great. It's turn water into wine. Oh, wonderful. He's great at dinner parties. But I digress on that. I've discussed that before as well. I think that it starts with altruism, like I said before. It starts with not valuing your own self, but valuing the next person and what they have. And what does that breed? contempt. I have to be selfless and unselfish and selfless and altruistic and self-sacrificial. But what am I doing this for? Am I, it's that tanglement, that that struggle within the spirit, within the soul, that really gets at people's minds. It's that struggle within their spirit that doesn't allow them to be able to be selfish and egoistic. It's the saddest part. Some people say that it's because of the government's inability to work together. They work together well. That's when they don't work together is probably the best part. When they get together on something like a project, when the Republicans and Democrats do something, they agree on something, something vicious is coming that way. It's gonna be in a bad way. Something nasty is about to happen. Something too vicious is going to go down. And that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna have people that will say, "Oh, well, the government should stay the way it should be. Everything's fine. I'm doing all right." You're not thinking of the widest proper picture, or even the details of a small picture. You're not considering that. That's what we have to do. Get rid of all these different agencies. I miss some, I know, but those are the ones that come to mind that bother me the most. FTC, FCC, EPA, DEA, FDA, Social Security, Medicare, all these programs. I'll wait. I will wait. You tell me how much they provide for individual rights. I'll wait. I'll wait. That's what I'm saying. I gave you a few seconds, I know, but it's sincere. It's true. It's a real situation. So government shutdown. No, 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 no. Shut off. Shut off all these alphabet soup organizations that do not pertain to protecting individual rights. That's the thing. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, the government should be smaller." I appreciate that, Greg. I think you're trolling since I only have 0 people and 2 likes. I didn't get any money because you're broke as hell. So I didn't get any cash for this broadcast. But that's fine too. But a lot of people say, "Oh, government should be smaller. Oh, it should be smaller." Yes, it should be smaller, but also the scope of government should be smaller. What it does, not just what it is, but what it does, its functionality, it should be smaller. Its overreach should be smaller. Understanding the dynamic of what it means to be a person that lives in this country of the United States of America, the greatest country of all time, the GOAT, the noblest country of all time. We have to take into account that it needs to be more perfect. We're not there yet. We're like 83% there. That's like a strong B. We're pretty good. Life is good. But it would be better if we got government out of the way. Uncle Ruckus, Sky Saunders. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that because I think I do have reverse vitiligo. I have reverse vitiligo. I started off really light skin. I really did. There's a baby picture of myself. I was very fair skinned, and then I turned dark skin. So go figure. But hey, Greg S was in the building. I thank you for your trolling. I appreciate everyone who came in and left and came in and left again. I didn't get any money. I was supposed to have an $80 goal. I got $0 raised at the $80 goal, and that's just a fact of reality that I have to live with. But I thank you, all of you in rebroadcast land, and just feel free to share this video. Let other people know what is really going on. And I appreciate it. And I thank you very much. Take care. 6, 4.